know how cool it is to have a wedding announcement flying token that's a 1/1? That it gets counters every turn, like a wedding announcement would, and boy, what?
But hey, try remembering that stuff in paper, huh?
Right?
This is why I play Arena.
Why Arena's the better format. If only we had a real life shuffler. That's my only complaint. Is we don't have like, I don't know, man. I don't know how to fix the shuffler, but it's broken.
I remember before people used sleeves that there was at least one or two people in a 30-plus person tournament that would not play with sleeves, and they would literally bring a card shuffler and they put their fucking deck in it.
Bro, I swear to God, if I played paper, I would have a card shuffler. Oh God, I absolutely would.
Even as a teenager, seeing that, it still made me laugh. I'm just like, that's so funny.
I promise you, I would be that dude. I would be that. I don't want to be that dude, but I would be that dude. Absolutely. Pick up shuffling my cards by hand.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
What's going on, y'all?
Ew. What's up?
What's up? How's everybody feeling today? It's Sunday. The weather where I'm at's gorgeous.
It is wonderful outside.
It's overcasty and breezy here.
No, especially after the day we had yesterday. It was wet and cold and nasty all day. And then welcome to Georgia. Welcome to Georgia.
Yeah, me and you, Lieutenant Watts. Yeah.
Me, you, and Lieutenant Watts. Yeah.
Well, down here in Florida, it could be raining in your front yard, not in your backyard.
I've seen it.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Georgia gets like that too.
I've seen it raining on one side of the road and not on the other.
Exactly.
I'm talking about the yellow line of the road.
Exactly. And it could come down, it could come in sideways all of a sudden and do it for 10 minutes and then be done, but everything's soaked for the day in that 10 minutes. Like, makes for interesting work for sure.
Do you know how old we sound right now talking about the weather, y'all?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right.
This just makes us classic, not old.
Classic. I like that, Peridabo. I love that distinction. Classic, not old.
Not old. I am vintage.
Hey, listen, I am not afraid to say old. It's fine.
No, I earned it.
I mean, I'm getting there. Right, exactly.
Listen, we don't say old, we say seasoned.
There you go.
Seasoned, like salt and pepper.
Like a good cast iron skillet, you know?
Yeah.
You got flavor at this point.
Only gets better with age.
So we've been live. We've been live for a minute. MTG Hillbilly in the chat says howdy everyone.
What's up?
Yo.
What it do?
You know me.
All right, Lieutenant Watts. We may have been live the entire time.
No telling. And this is how I'm gonna do it every week. I'm just gonna go live, and then you just won't know, and then eventually I'll tell you.
I'll know. If I get the notification that you went live, I'll know.
See, I figured somebody would.
No, we came. So me and Luis were talking about something, and then out of nowhere, Lieutenant Watts comes. Is like, cocaine? What? Hold on. Are we live?
Are we live?
Oh man, the good thing is I do a little post editing. Thank God.
Theoretically, we have been live the entire time, and yes, at the time that you said that, Watts, we've been live.
we may have been live.
I find that all the time when I'm speaking on live, so
you get used to it
at any given moment.
Yeah, you definitely get used to it.
I didn't say too many things that would make me feel like I need to recant my statement at any moment.
Oh, no,
like
I'm not afraid.
I don't recant any. Well, if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong.
MTG
I'm not
Hillbilly.
down, but
I was wrong once.
I was wrong once. I found that I didn't like it, and I haven't done it since.
I mean, I still don't believe it, but she's very adamant about explaining it to me.
Apparently, the moment you sign the dotted line and you're officially married, you're never right again.
That's what I hear. I don't know. Hasn't
know
been
either. I
true
don't
for
know what they're
me
talking-
yet. Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about with that.
You get to be right like
Let me find out she's
45%
standing right behind you, Max.
of the time. You get to be
She's
right
napping on the
45%
couch,
of the
thank
time.
God.
All I say is it's not about being right.
All right, so
Like, I wasn't trying to be right.
MTG Hillbilly in the chat is reminding us that early access is the 13th and 14th, a portion of the 14th. But if you're
So
like
many
me,
of the homies got in. So many of the homies.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
We're celebrating the fact that Griffin Rider got in. I got in for the first time, and the Darkstream, who I think is here, got in as
He's
well.
muted, but he's here.
Yeah, he's silent.
There he is.
Hell yeah, brother!
Let's go.
I'll
Yeah,
have you
he's
know.
silent.
All right, so let me
Okay.
just do a quick introduction, and then we can get back to the mayhem. Lieutenant Watts is in here. John Ramos MTG, Luis Dragon, also known as Luis Felipe on Twitter, and myself, Max Damage, Perudabo, and Garth
Present.
Lucas of the Darkstream. What is up, y'all? Sunday. Y'all had a chance to play in any pizza box action today, or just on ladder? What's going on with your Sunday?
No.
I
Discuss.
cleaned my computer. I actually physically cleaned my computer. That's what I did with my day. It was filthy.
No, that's a good
That's
time
good.
investment.
That's
That's a good.
always a good day.
Yeah, that's a good thing to
Yeah.
do.
It just felt like it had to happen, man. It's sort of my lifeblood. It's what I live through. I mean, actually, I do constructioneering for a living, but every moment I'm not doing that, I'm here. So it just felt like the thing to maintain above all else. So that's what I did with my morning and with my afternoon.
More productive than me, and I played like 7 games of best of 3 Magic and lost all of them. That was not fun.
It happens.
It'd be like that sometimes.
But did you learn anything?
You're right. That's exactly what I told my audience.
Discuss.
Did you learn anything?
I learned that Esper Legends is coming back, and I don't understand it. I really don't. I guess I kind of do. It's one of the best decks to curve out with, but it really is just an Unga Bunga put the best creatures together kind of deck, and there's not much more to it than that.
But it does vibe, man, making all the legendary lands dirt cheap to play. I mean, I know every time I see it, I get, I won't say frustrated, but I know that I got to pay attention to my plays. You know, it's not like something where I can just sort of buy time and get where I need to go eventually. Like I've got to pay attention enough to make sure I'm doing what I have to do exactly when I have to do it. There's not really any room for error when you're playing against it. And Dreams of Steel Oil is amazing, by the way.
Did Scrub really put that deck that much further ahead?
It
That's
did.
the only thing I remember. Because I
It-
remember
it-
crushing it all
Yeah,
the
I
time
did.
prior to.
It absolutely did. Actually, the new set bringing in Rona, Herald of Invasion, I would expect to see that because there's roughly 1 to 2 casting cost slots for legends that we don't love. They turn into like Ludovic's, other shit. It's never been great though. Whereas Rona, Herald of Invasion, that's going to be amazing for Esper Legends. They're going to play
Rona
at least
looks
2 rows
sick.
coming in.
Yeah, I
don't
haven't
play
figured
Standard
out.
enough to know.
Yeah, I haven't figured out exactly how to beat the deck in specific formations. Just I sideboard in more removal. Certain board wipes don't work really well in black against it because you still got to deal with Sheldred, AO stuff on the upper end. So I don't know. Going back to the drawing board with mono black, Rakdos, and I was trying to do a new Grixis. That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to do a new Grixis with 2 copies of Wandering Mind, 2 copies of Kaito Dancing Shadows, and I figured I could bounce the Wandering Mind with the Dancing Shadows over and over again and get that Invoke Despair, but that did not happen.
I was going to say, sounds slow.
Yeah, it was pretty slow. That's all I have to report.
I was stuck on I'm still sort of stuck on Capricious Hellraiser for a while, so I tried doing a Grixis where I was using it and founding the third path so I could just continuously find and invoke that I've already played and play it again. just because I've got an invoke problem, guys. I won't.
I think
It's
we all
what I
do.
do.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Invoke Despair is the best card in black. Prove me
Right?
wrong.
I just
Prove
love
me
it. Like
wrong.
it's so fun. Like that's why I started playing Hellraiser. I'm like, wait, I can play Invoke and play the same one again next turn. Like I can essentially have
And
8 to
play
12
with
invokes in my deck. Like I love that.
Whoa, MTG Hillbilly in the chat is bringing up a card that I haven't looked at yet, saying, I miss Meathook Massacre, but at least we got a new mono black board wipe in battle mode. Is there a battle
The
card that's a
battle,
board
yes.
wipe?
Yeah.
Invasion of Fiora.
Yeah, and it does either legendary or not.
Oh.
Is that the one?
It cost $1 million. Like,
Yeah, it's 6 mana. It's blood on the snow money, but I don't know that there's time for that with what's coming out, you know? Like
Yeah.
to get all the way to 6 mana and hope to be able to do it. And then the fact that it's only gonna do legendary or not, like it's so either you're playing against Esper Legends or not, and that's the only time it's really relevant. Because if you leave one or the other, you're still not in a great spot. Like
Aggro's getting a boost. We're already seeing Selesnya Toxic do its thing, and we'll get to that. We'll talk about it. But what are you guys thinking about aggro right now?
like mono red here and there, but and Soldiers is sort of aggro-y, but it's more mid-rangey because it grinds a little bit better than most aggro decks do. So
That's very true.
yeah,
yeah, I like how Soldiers builds. You know, like they
Yes.
just the way they vibe together seems to work a lot better. You can push through a little better come later game as opposed to mono red. Like if you didn't win by turn 4, you're probably nearly done, if
That-
not all the way done.
You've
Runs out of
seen what's
gas.
coming in with the new set, though. Mono Red is about to get like 5 new staples in the set.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's what
We
I was
have
aiming at.
like we have Urabras coming in. That's huge.
Urbrass looks so fire, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm
I
a
want
college
that card.
The invasion of Tarkir, even if you don't play other dragons, is still going to bone crush for 2 and then flip into something of relevance to red. That might end up being a sideboard option red utilizes. The Rampaging Raptor is the new age questing beast. That's coming in.
Mhm.
That's going to be
Mhm.
hot as fuck.
That's huge. That's huge.
that'll hinge on how good the battles are.
Mm-hmm. And Bloodfeather Phoenix is something I absolutely am intrigued by.
Oh yeah, me too. We need a good Phoenix.
But do those
It's been a
fit
while.
in the standard aggro or mono red just run in and turn sideways
Oh.
builds though, being at 4 mana, both of those, the Urbrask or what was the other one you just mentioned? The Raptor. Like like that doesn't seem like the standard just every card comes in sideways and that's what they do until they've won by turn 4.
Once upon a time, we had a thing called Big Red. It involved Art
Right.
Slogging and Seething Song. And
Oh my
I'm
god,
not
you
saying-
speak in my language.
Yeah, I'm not saying we're getting back there, but I remember playing Cosmic Larvas off of Chrome Moxes on turn 1, for instance. So I think we might see a new era of red where it's willing to go up the curve because we also get Koth, and Koth is amazing in a mono red deck.
Is so good.
And
Yeah, I mean,
we grabbed Stoke the Flames, which is interesting, as is Lithomantic Barrage. Like that is a hot sideboard option in standard potentially.
Also, Nahiri's or the Nahiri card, the 3 mana deal 5, is actually main deckable playable, so it's not like the other
Fantastic.
deal 5s for 3. They're
Yep.
actually playable.
Agreed. So mono red gets some staples. It'll be interesting to see how it adapts, but there's definitely room to brew in there.
Very cool. MTG news. All right, we have some articles to talk about. We just started talking about Selesnya Toxic, and I think Luis Dragon had a specific article that got brought up wherein I'll let Luis summarize, but wherein the opinion was Toxic is a little powerful.
Toxic is literally toxic for Magic the Gathering. I
So
mean,
what-
this is a CBR article that says that this toxic threat is literally toxic for Magic the Gathering. So, to resume the the article, it says a lot of this is what was the infect mechanic that it was in Nephorexia and the Scars of Mirroring block. I didn't play that block. I wasn't playing Magic at the time, but I do from what I have read, it was it had cards like Blight Dragon that had infect. This was like a toxic, but it was detected by the power of the creature. So if you were hit by 4/4 with infect, you get 4 toxic count. So this article says that was super one-sided. That they were one-sided deck that could kill any player in 2-3 turns, and with the return of toxic, that the problem was the same. Even though that Wizards of the Coast has changed the infect to toxic, like when it doesn't, it isn't attached to the power of the creature. It's just a fixed number, no?
Yeah.
I really don't see the problem. I mean, I've been playing with Celestia Toxic these last days, and the deck is really fun. It's not hard to play, but it also you're not winning every game. I mean, there are a lot of games that you can reach the 10 toxic before they kill you. It's a lot of in the middle. It's a lot of removal, especially in white, and there are like what 5 cards that can remove all your creatures in the world.
Yeah, board wipes are
So
still prevalent.
mhm.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying earlier, and like it
Oh,
proved true just a few moments later. Like that deck falls to board wipe control.
yeah, totally. So I don't see the problem. I don't see why this is running. This trend is running Magic. I thought we will see more of the blue green toxic deck that it was like used as the Road Priest
Yeah, I thought so too.
with uh,
I actually
which
played
was
that deck for a while, and it did not do
uh
well.
I mean it was like a glass cannon, no? Or it
Yeah,
you had to mulligan to find your two pick key pieces, and if you know, you're dead. And really, I don't see a lot of problem with toxic. I mean, also it was the Dimir toxic deck, and also didn't stay a long time. So I don't see a problem with toxic. I mean, I haven't seen in the March of the Machines any new toxic creatures really. So I don't know. The article is from March 13. I really don't understand what they were going for. Any ideas? You guys?
You know
Opinion?
what's toxic? This article is toxic.
nah,
Yeah.
Somebody was bound to say it.
Got him.
I got a card on the
got
screen.
him.
I got a card on the screen, Skithirex the Blight Dragon, which has Infect. Just to give viewers an example of Infect, but Infect says this creature deals damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters, and to players in the form of poison counters. So that's where, right, in the past, poison counters were tied to the creature's power, and especially in the case of this card. Whereas now it's just like, you might get 1 or 2 out of a creature, except for maybe the contaminated the 4/4 creature with trample that has 4 poison counters. Aside from that,
Is
and
it 4? I
proliferate.
thought it was 1, and it proliferates
Right.
when it
I'm
deals
thinking
damage.
Yeah, you're right. I'm thinking about the Rex creature that costs like 7 or 8.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tyranic Rex.
With
Yeah, so
haste, ward, and toxic 4.
yeah, so I can see what
Yeah,
Luis is
Ward
saying.
4.
I can see what Luis is saying.
Look, I skimmed through the article, and look, I played against Infect. I played games with it way back when, and I don't think people understand how incredibly busted Infect is. Like, their power is tied to how many poison counters you get.
Mm-hmm.
There was a modern deck
Yeah.
that would just kill you on turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. You could never go shields down because it's one of the reasons why Gitaxian Pro got banned. Because basically they just probe
Right?
you, see you have nothing, and then just kill you. And you can't really do that with Toxic because Toxic is tied to the mechanic. It's basically what Infect should have been.
Yeah.
And it's a great solution to how you're going to do 10 damage because that's theoretically what it is. And for the aggro decks, that's the aggro deck of the format is they have to do 10 damage to you or 10 toxic damage to you, as opposed to Infect where they're like, oh, I get my Infect creature to 6 power and you're dead now. So I don't know. I read articles like this, I see them, and I'm just like, I'm just not going to give any credence to anybody that's like, this is toxic for Magic, play on words or whatever. But what's really toxic is you not taking the time to learn the history of, you can say like, well, Infect was this. Like, no, I don't think you understand if you've never played against it or actually played in an environment with it, against it, and understand how easy it is to go, yeah, we're dead on turn 4, but we have to play spells to do it with Toxic. With Infect, it's like I get my stuff. I don't even have to tap lands for it. I just mutagenic growth my stuff for free, and you're dead on turn 3, even through all of your disruptions. So I got nothing for this article. Let me move on to this. Next.
Just that Max touched the Skidrix, the Blade Dragon. It's coming to Arena.
Yeah.
It's in the. Talking about that, it is coming to Arena in the Masters of the Multiverse. What?
Yeah.
Is it really? I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the
It's coming
original,
to
all the
Arena.
OGs, all the OG Praetors are in there, or all the Infect, one of the
Yeah,
other.
There are the.
I'm like 95% sure that card's in the Multiverse Legends.
Yeah, look it in Mythic Spoiler, and it's in the up, down, and when the Multiverse Legends start, and it's the second left. The second row. Yeah. Second row, first column.
Oh, I wasn't denying, I was pretty sure, but yeah, it's there.
Yeah, it's
Wow. Okay. Very cool. I'm
And
gonna
the
go
and the
with that.
OG and the OG Atraxa too.
yeah, original attracts.
All right, we have another article to look at. This one just MTG Arena Zone just bringing up Monastery Mentor and how it's coming back, and their author here evaluating the card. But we're gonna evaluate the card. We're not even gonna look at their evaluation. Monastery Mentor. Let's go ahead and read it aloud. It is a 3-cost white human monk creature, 2/2 with prowess. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 white monk creature token with prowess. So, a lot better than the card that we have now. What is that card in red-blue that creates the soldiers?
Iconoclast.
Third Path Iconoclast.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, potential for a Jeskai deck there. But on its own, in a vacuum, how do you guys evaluate this card's return to standard?
Irrelevant.
Seconded.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it being what everybody referred to it as being in the past. Like I heard Darkstream meant, or I didn't hear him. We had seen it in chat or whatever. He had mentioned how he used to play it, but how are you supposed to play that on curve and it stay around? Like everything is removal based, everything is removal heavy. Like you have to play that late enough to actually get any tokens off of it, and for those tokens to actually stick. I don't see it being as good as what else is already out there.
Well, let's evaluate the card in different color combos. Then, say we're playing Jeskai, then you're gonna have 4 copies of Slip out the back. You're gonna have protection for this kind of card. The question then becomes: is this worth a spot in your 3-drop slot and building around? Going wide like that, is there a game plan for that? Also, based on the new cards that you've seen spoiled already, what do you think?
Much like the older this card's nothing but nostalgia. So, are you really like Just Guy, for example? Are you really playing this over your other two better cards in Wedding Announcement and Fable and many other 3 drops that virtually do the same thing of giving you tokens, like the soldier, the 3 drop flyer that you tap 3 soldiers, you draw a card. Like, you're already getting tokens as it is. The question is then becomes, what are you going to play over this in any deck that gives you tokens? And I don't see any. And the majority of the stuff that you have, or that you did have when it was good, the majority of the times when it was good was in the control mirror when you cited out all of your removal. And the other formats that where it was good, where it got restricted, is Vintage and Legacy. Because you're able to protect it, or you're able to play 0 cost stuff, which we don't have.
I think there are a few angles from which this card will be relevant again. Angle 1, I can see a scenario where mono blue Jin becomes blue white. We focus on slip out backs, we focus on shore ups, and we go wide because it's the first time we had the ability to really go wide. I could see that scenario. I could also see a scenario where we have more of a token based build, and that's one of the few creatures because it happens to also be an engine for tokens. So if they want to remove stuff, that's the only thing they can possibly get as a 1-for-1. Everything else is going to be 2-for-1, so the removal's less relevant. And then deck cards with Convoke like Stoke the Flames become very relevant. The first time I played that card to great success and got it onto the Pro Tour was on the back of Jeskai Ascendancy and Monastery Mentor in conjunction with each other. So if we see an engine like that, I think it'll be very relevant. Otherwise, no, it'll be a sideboard option for control mirrors, probably.
I could see it having a space in Celestia humans. For example, where you can protect it and you can go wide. And with King Darian,
Yeah.
maybe you can do. You will be making 2/2 tokens. That is a lot of heavy power.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Thank you,
that
both
is
of you,
the
for bringing that,
city.
for bringing up those angles. Selesnya is not something I've thought about, but yes, this would fit right in there with that. Especially if you're playing a go wide strategy. There's
Well,
some
if
other cards as well.
I'm thinking go wide, like I think like Adeline, you turn her sideways or anything else turned sideways, it's free tokens as opposed to having to spend more mana to do it. You know, and then she's typically too big for a cut down. So I mean, I could see her in some respects, but or I could see this monastery in some respects, but not until other things rotate out, maybe. I don't know, like I don't see playing it over a wedding announcement where you just get all that value for the one time of 3 mana. I just
What
I don't know.
one particular thing that I just noticed that I didn't think about just now with Mentor is that it pairs really well with Jaya, in that making tokens, and also her minus ability, which gives you a bunch of damage on the going wide strat too.
Yeah, creature strategies aren't necessarily as unviable as they were, say, before rotation. The board wipes are slightly weaker. They cost just a bit more. Um, but that being said, the removal is a lot cheaper and a lot easier to access. I mean, you have Play with Fire, which can get rid of this. There's a lot of 1 mana removal that can get multiple color set. But
The thing is, everyone is playing black, and
yeah,
everyone who plays black is playing cut down. So this need to be in a turn 4 that you can protect it at least for a turn to give you a token at least valuable.
agreed. Very cool card. I think, yeah, maybe there is a bit of nostalgia. We'll see, though. I mean, we'll see come rotation, right? Like, that's ultimately early access. I might toy with this one, just see what I can do with it. I don't know. I'll see what kind of environment
I like the idea of it. I just don't see it taking a spot in the top meta anytime real soon. Not until, like I said, after rotation, when some of these things that have already established themselves lose some of their key pieces. When
That being
somebody starts
said,
thinking a little more outside the box.
I agree with you, Peridabo. But that being said, I think this is good in a limited environment, and I'll be looking to play test and play around with this in a sealed or a limited draft.
Yeah, I think that in limited, yeah, it sounds like it's very good.
All right. Anything anybody else wanted to bring up? Just
Okay,
recent anything in the last week that's been going on?
just a question. What do you think about the new creators?
I have not looked at those. Is there one in particular that you have in mind?
Well, we have talked about robots and going in mono red. Hmm, but anyone could see Elish Norn going in mono white control.
I don't know.
Is that I'm gonna test anything that you list right now about the new set. I'm gonna test because I have no ideas yet for early access.
I mean, it's 2 white, 2 normal, vigilance. It says whenever a source an opponent controls deals damage to you or a permanent you control, that source controller loses 2 life until they pay 1. And you can sacrifice 3 other creatures, exile Elish Norn, and 2 mana and 1 white, and return it like a saga. The saga is incubate 5 times, then transform all your incubator tokens you control. The second part is creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain double strike until the end of turn. And the last one is destroy all other permanents except for artifact, lands, and Phyrexian. Exile the Argent Etchings and you return Elish Norn. Can you see
Oh
it
wow.
working?
She looks ridiculous. I mean, I don't know. The one that we just got doesn't seem nearly as effective as the one we're getting. This new one looks absurd compared to what the last one does. I mean, as a mono black enthusiast, I'm looking more forward to Shieldred, but even this Shieldred doesn't hold a candle to our original Shieldred, though.
Okay, let's talk about these. Let's talk about these one by one. I think I've been wanting to talk about. I saw the Shieldred. I haven't seen any of these other ones yet. But let's talk about the Elish Norn. I'm gonna pull it up on screen. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think I saw this one. The Argent Etchings is the opposite side of it. This is wild.
Yeah.
All right. Give me your opinions on this and whether you build around it or it's mono white playable or if you think it fits in any other kind of color scheme.
I mean, my immediate thought is somebody's definitely gonna try to cram it with Rona and with Realm Breaker.
I don't know. I think all these legendary praetors are medium at best. I don't think any of them are. They don't shoot off the. They don't jump off the page to me. Not like Children did, the old Children, or not like old OG Elish Norn did. I don't know. I think these are all medium.
Okay.
Because you have to the majority of them, they don't do anything when they hit the battlefield. They just don't do anything.
That's
It's
what
like
I was gonna
maybe
say.
the other shoulder. Like my 3s, 4s, and 5s have to do something when they hit play. These don't do anything. You have to pray that you have to untap with these. Like Vorinclex does something when it enters play, but like they don't do anything. Like they're powerful. Don't get me wrong. Like they're good. But like how good are they? Like every time somebody says, "Well, if I just untap with it," like if you're untapping with something like this, much like a lot of the other cards, you're already ahead. This is what we define as win mores. If they're not your curve toppers, especially. But if you're the toppers, then sure. But like I said, they're good in the sense, but I think they're just medium. They're not like I don't classify them as like in my top 10. And if I was gonna rate the set of like how good they are, they're not in my top 10.
Okay. Let's read Sheldred because John brings up a good point about the necessity of a strong ETB effect for creatures that cost like 4 or 5, and I agree for the most part. Sheldred, however, does have an ETB effect. So 5 cost Sheldred, a 4/5 with Menace. When Sheldred ETBs, each opponent sacks a non-token creature or planeswalker. And then for 5, including a black, exile Sheldred, return it transformed, activate only as a sorcery, and then it becomes the true scripture. So, what do you think in light of that ETB effect? Is that enough in a 5-drop slot?
probably.
If
You're already
if you're,
playing a bunch of stuff.
I was gonna say, if you're running Rakdos or Black, chances are you've kept the board pretty thinned out already.
Yeah, Rakdos
know,
comes to
like-
mind.
You're running your Blood Tithe Harvester, so you've probably killed something. You probably go for the throw to something or cut something down already. So by the time it comes to that, if they're playing on curve and you're playing on curve, they drop something decent sized their last turn, and now it's probably the only thing they have to get rid of. So that to me, yeah, I could see it being relevant. But what really gets me on this one is Chapter 3 of the saga. If you'd like to continue, that's what I'm really excited about.
Oh yeah, the saga
Give
is
me,
phase
give me
1.
all the creatures.
For each opponent, destroy up to 1 target creature.
Another
from
Rise
the
of the Dark Realms.
Yeah, I love that fucking card. Phase 2, each opponent discards 3 cards, then mills 3 cards. Phase 3, put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. I mean, Jesus.
Win, please.
Yes.
Win, please. Also, you can all laugh at me. I muted my mic about 10 minutes ago and didn't realize it.
Well, you're here now. What do you think about this card? I think it's awesome. I think I play it in a 2-color. I don't play this in Grixis. I play this in Rakdos or Mono Black.
Absolutely.
I
Right.
definitely play it in Mono Black. 100% played in Mono Black.
Mono Black and Rakdos. Rakdos has the battle as well, doesn't it? Where it's the same thing. It's 1 red, 1 black, and they sacrifice a creature. Then you have Araya coming, where it's, I mean, they got a lot of sack plays coming with the new set.
And this
Then
is
you have
where-
Phyrexian Tribal.
And this is where the question becomes: yeah, you're gonna play it in Mono Black. What are you cutting? You're not cutting Invoke Despair. So what
You might.
You
might.
You
Yeah,
cut, you cut,
I
you
don't
cut
know.
previous copies of Sheldred.
I'm
There
starting
is-
to see
there is a-
people cut Invoke Despair for like 1 Cruelty of Gix, 1 Gix's Command. Like I'm starting to see that. I see
Yeah,
them
there was-
cutting another
There was
one.
there was a couple months ago where Invoke just didn't seem like it was hitting right. Everybody figured out how to make sure that it was not getting the mileage that you needed it to get. You know, like it wasn't as advantageous as it was for a while. It seems like it's coming back around again. And this is as an Invoke enthusiast, you know, just there was a while there where I was running Gix's Command instead, just trying to wean out the herd a little so I could get through to the other side with my Gix on board so I could draw for the 1 life per whatever got by.
Is
but,
there a I know there's an Urabrask, and I have it up on screen right now. Is there also a Vorinclex and a Jin Cataxius?
Yes.
Yeah.
Full
They're
cycle.
all,
I
they're all
see.
powerful. Like when you read them, like Gigataxis is like it's so dumb. But like again, if you could untap with them, sure. But I
I mean,
just-
Jin has
I just
war.
don't see it.
It's not so easy to kill.
like between me, like
Yeah,
Children
Ward
and
2.
Vorinclex are like the best ones. Because Vorinclex,
I-
you get your forest, whatever they are, and you're, curving into flipping it. And Children the same
worst
thing.
one.
Huh?
Personally, I think that the Vorinclex is the worst one. Personally, I will tell you why. Normally, to turn the card, all are cheaper than the creature cost. Vorinclex, you need you need it to survive at least 3 turns.
No, you get the 2
No,
mana.
yeah, but you cannot. Let's say you throw it in 5. You get the lands in your hand. You are not putting into play. So
Oh, that's
every
true.
turn,
That's
to-
Oh wow, this card's horrible.
That's
for
a
some
nuanced
reason, that goes
distinction.
into play. This card's terrible. All right, yeah. All right, like I said, all these are medium at best. I thought this thing put them into play.
You just
Hopefully you're
re-
playing.
This card's
Hopefully you're
terrible.
playing Dorks.
All right, stop
you
it.
just reinforced his
Take back
point,
what I-
Luis.
Reinforce my point that these are all medium. But again, like reading is
On
busted
further
for everybody
review.
in chat. All right, I'll have you know that. All right, listen, this card's so bad. All right, yeah, Children probably it. That's not. Ah man,
I'll
I
have
got,
you
I just got. Moving
I
on.
do like the Urabrask at the 4-drop slot for a mono red. Like that's pretty cool.
I mean, Rebelcast helps mono red with one spells. Every time you cast an instant on sorcery, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. It will kill faster.
Yeah,
I think it's a
exactly.
good addition.
Keeps the pressure
I mean,
up. I like it.
I can see Urbrask if turn 3 you played a Chandra and she actually survived, and then you're Urbrask on turn 4. Then you add the 1 mana and you're playing your Play with Fire or whatever you're playing another Swift Spear, and then you get the extra 1 from Urbrask being down, so now you're hitting the Play with Fire, so you're actually getting more mileage out of it, but then you're out of cards in your hand. You just fueled up faster, just hope it got you there. I like them. I want to
Yep.
see it do well. I'm just not sure.
Just 1 red to activate the Saga side. That's pretty cool, and it's a board wipe for 3, and it deals 3 damage to them. And that phase 3 is pretty cool. Like I'm gonna play with that one early access for sure.
I mean, also Rebelcast gives you 1 mana, so there's the 1 mana you need to turn it.
You just
can
need
turn
to
it for
play a
free.
bunch of cantrips. So
Yeah, discard a bunch
Yeah.
of really cool spells.
Yeah, chapter 3 is awesome. You just, you steal somebody else's invoke and go from there.
Okay, so I guess we only like 1 out of the 5 Praetors, maybe 2, depending on who you ask.
1.5.
I don't want to try Elish now, but I see very hard to play with her.
Like
Yeah, the
you
current-
you go to the end. Like you profit from sacrificing, because essentially you're losing 4 pieces of cardboard, right? You're losing Elish Norn and 3 creatures. But that's a tough ask in standard, in my opinion, that you need 4 creatures, 3 mana, and Elish Norn to all survive to make this flip. Yeah, you get 5 2/2s or whatever, but the initial pay is you got to have you have to have 4 creatures, and it's a tough ask here.
Yeah, it's very tough to turn it.
All right, I wanted to
So-
switch. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so really you need the Monastery Monk so you can hopefully pop off a bunch of tokens so you can actually make this happen.
Yeah, really. Let's synergize. I was going to switch gears here and talk about State of the Meta. This is going to be our weekly segment, and we're going to expand from just talking about Standard to talk about other formats as well, including Explorer. But State of the Meta, we're going to look at some data on some big tournaments going on recently and on Untapped. If somebody wants to bring up the Untapped data, I don't have that up on screen, but MTG Assistant, Untapped, Top 8, some of the most recent tournaments. Today, I have data from DreamHack. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up on screen.
All right, I got Untapped open.
Cool. I'll let you present that and let us know what's going on there. But I have the DreamHack Magic Showdown standard metagame. This does not include win rates at all. This is just percentage of field, deck count. And this is a huge tournament going on right now in San Diego. So, oh my god, y'all. 147 Esper Legends decks, 15.7% of the field, followed up by Rakdos midrange, 143, just trailing right behind. And then Mono White midrange. What do you think of those top 3? Go ahead. Before I present my opinions, I'll let you guys talk.
I'm so surprised Grixis ain't higher. It's been there for so long that I'm amazed that's not in the top 3, but happy to see Rakdos in there. I mean, it's not mono black, but it'll have to do for me.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part, Max. What did you say?
Oh, I said the top 3 are Esper Legends, Rakdos midrange, and Mono White midrange. 15.7, 15.3, and 12.6 respectively.
Okay.
What do you think of those? Are you surprised by any of those 3?
Nope, not a bit.
Nope. I'm assuming
Why do you
that
say that?
Rakdos mid-range. I'm assuming that Rakdos mid-range also couples with the Atraxa deck too.
No, that's Rectus Reanimator, no?
No, Grixis Reanimator
the-
is 2.1%.
No, I was talking about
no, the
Rakdos
Rakdos.
deck. There's
No,
a
the
Rakdos
Rakdos.
version.
No, the Rakdos Reanimator
Reanimator,
is 5th on the list.
fifth,
Okay.
yeah.
So they're separated. Okay.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Watts, why do you say you're not surprised?
It's very similar to what we've seen in other tournaments going on in the past week or so as to what the top decks that were played, and not only played but won. We saw it in the Pizza Box Standard Slice last Sunday, along with, hold on one second, I'll pull it up and share the screen. But along with the tournament that happened down in South America as well, we saw 5-color control, mono white control, Esper Rafine. Let me share the screen really quick.
Yeah, I got your screen up.
And
Why won't it let me change the day?
Well, this one's different. You got Esper mid-range, Rakdos mid-range, Azorius Soldiers.
Yeah, but
why
it
is
also
it-
won't let me. It won't let me change the date time. So like, it's like the furthest from November 15th, and I was trying to change it to like the last couple months or whatever, but I assume this is not that much different than if you changed the date. But like
Well,
I
that gives
said,
us
albeit
a bigger picture of like the forest versus the trees, right? So I can
Yeah.
see where that's effective. Lieutenant Watts has MTG top 8 data from the South America Magic Series up on the screen. Looking at that,
Yeah.
5-color domain won the tournament. Why do you
The
why do you
thing
think
that
that is? We play tested that last week, and y'all can speak on that. But why do you think that is?
I personally didn't play against it, and I haven't played against it on the ladder, so I'm not familiar with the deck.
I think what I'm starting to see, what I'm seeing is the meta is what it is, but like I don't know if you want to call them grinders, but there's like specific people. I see it on Twitter or certain challenges or certain tourneys that it's random decks just win. So like there's a couple of tourneys, couple of challenges that were won by Selesny and Enchantments. There was a couple so far down the line, Domain is popular. Won a couple of tourneys. Ali Antrazi won an RCQ with 5-color domain, and the majority of the meta is what people are playing because they're safe. But I think what it shows is that the format is really that open, and that anything can win.
I
Which is weird to
highly
say.
agree. Yeah, I highly
Which
agree.
is
with
really
that.
weird to say.
Yeah, it really is. But
Yeah,
we're
I
gonna
think.
go ahead, Luis.
No, sorry. I think it's a healthy meta. For much that I dislike some of the decks that are always in top, I think it's a healthy meta. Now we need to separate or differentiate the meta of tournaments and the meta of arena, because normally arena
Oh yeah,
players they like things quick when they are grinding for the ladder. So you will see a lot of more aggro, and even if it's not that good, you will see a lot of aggro in arena always. You will see heavier or more slow decks in tournaments. But because in arena you lose fast or you win fast. So if you want to grind, I think aggro is the better option in arena.
I contend that the average arena player is not the same as the caliber or the average tier player of MTGO or paper tournament players. That's not to say that they're
Yeah.
worse or like anybody's better or whatever, but that the competition, and it's been said on numerous occasions, that arena is not the same as if you're in paper tournaments like Darcy Qs or the grinders or challenges and leagues in MTGO.
I think Darkstream, if he doesn't mute, he could speak to this. But yeah, probably true. And as an arena grinder, as an arena streamer, I can attest to that. That it, when I started playing in pizza boxes, it's a little bit different. The meta is different. I think it's good of you guys to point that out.
Yeah, I mean, I always like when I drop back and play paper, even if it's just pre-release. Like, it's just it's a different feel altogether. Like when I was in Philly, we went down, we played a little bit, and just paper just plays different. I don't know if it's because people are lazier, they don't want to have to deal with all the triggers, or we're just spoiled by everything being automatic on Arena, or what. But I just wasn't getting shuffle hustled as hard, like just it felt a lot better playing paper. But then again, Arena is so much more convenient for me. It's on my schedule. I don't have to sleeve up cards. I don't have to have 80 of the same card if I want to build multiple decks with it. I think that sort of evens it out in that aspect.
I don't have to leave my house, bro.
That's,
It's at my convenience, right?
I don't even have to put socks and shoes on, my guy.
Let's go.
Right.
Let's get to the rest of this meta. Look, DreamHack. We are. This is crazy. Esper Legends being on top. That's crazy. But I want to just highlight something. I have it up on the screen. I want to highlight something else. Selesnya Enchantments has 24 decks present. I thought that deck was dead and gone.
When did it die?
No.
That thing will not die until Dynasty is out of here.
Yeah,
It's
my turn to have my "I'll have you know" moment, because I will have you know that deck is alive and well, sir. Actually, I am a YouTube content creator, and I'll have you know.
I will have to come back next week and talk about the actual results versus this graph right here. I'll let you bet on Selesnya Enchantments. What I'm wondering is why Azorius Soldiers is only 16 decks present below that. That's wild to me.
Not fast enough anymore, I guess.
Yeah, it never really was the aggro deck people labeled it as. It's more of like a mid-range aggro, right? Like, it depends on Kayla's reconstruction, bouncing back from board wipes quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But no, there's the reason why Selesnya Enchantments has been picking up in popularity along with Domain, but this is not the same, is Pascal Maynard and a few teammates have crushed a couple of challenges and a couple of RCQs and whatnot, and it basically brought it back from the dead, as if it was ever gone. But the main technology now is not running Kamiya Transient. It's just playing 4 Catildas and going ham on sagas and doing the Hallowed Hunting stuff.
Hallowed Hunting is such a good card in that deck.
Oh,
Yeah, that sets it off. Every time I see more than one drop, I'm hoping for an answer in my next draw, because I know they've got more in their hand ready just to set that thing off. Every card in that deck, it fits. Like everything in there triggers something else, if not one time, multiple times, and it's a solid build. Don't care for it as a player myself, and I hate all my things being stuck underneath another card. I feel like it's stepping on my throat a little bit, but
You're allowed to see him. You're just not allowed to play with him.
Right.
It's mono blue, but better, because you have to sit there and look at it.
Oh my god!
Right, you need to put it in the graveyard. Like you can't touch it anymore.
I think that the card that saves Selesnya Enchantment is Rite of Harmony. It's one of the best cards for the deck.
Yeah, them jamming 4. Some decks are jamming 4.
Mm. Because it keeps you recharging your hand every time you are going to have a big play. Draw 2 cards or draw 3 cards, and it's keeping this deck alive from my perspective.
Yeah, that's an aggro deck that people don't talk about enough. But I have the MTG assistant data, our last set of data that we'd like to talk about. This one's more interesting because I feel like it's more comprehensive. There's probably more MTG Assistant people uh, voluntarily giving their data because look at this. Grixis midrange, which is more reflective of my experience on ladder, by the way, in Diamond and Mythic, is on top with 14.8% roughly. And then followed up by Esper midrange. That's a surprise to me. I've been experimenting with that deck and I haven't figured it out. That's one of the decks I lost with tonight. Followed up by Mono White Control at 8.9, which I'm not surprised by. That deck is well positioned against Grixis and against decks like Mono Red, which is followed up at 8.1. Then Mono
That thing
Black,
seems to
then
hold
Mono
its own
Blue.
against everything.
Yeah, yeah. The 5-color domain that won the tournament recently is only at 3.8.
Because it's slow.
Yeah, people don't like that.
It's
They
on,
don't. They don't.
uh-huh,
They don't
it's
want to
on
wait
slow deck.
around. Yeah. And plus, you're going to see more platinum players give their data versus, diamond and mythic in this kind of pool. So that's probably why that deck is a lower percentage, even though it has a pretty high win rate overall and in turn.
Now,
I mean,
also
it's
it's expensive.
it's looking at a 53% win rate, which I wouldn't say is necessarily high.
It's average.
It's average. Yeah, it's average.
Again,
It's
that's
what you want against everything.
again that's
53,
probably
50%.
again that's probably diluted by the fact that not as many of those players are submitting their data. Also, that's a
Fair.
build that just got released 3 hours ago, so I haven't even looked at that one.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see that.
But anyway, yeah, not surprised by this data as much as I am by the other sets of data. I want to finish this up and wrap up the state of the meta and standard by asking everybody what are you playing? You only get to play one deck for the next month and a half, or actually, you only get to play one deck until the next set comes out. What are you playing right now?
Some variation of Selesnya Toxic.
So
Like-
like my
From now to the end of time, if I can.
Whatever has lay down arms in it.
I like my Capricious Hellraiser Rakdos. I love buying my things back after I've already used them. Well, not buying, but getting them back, preferably for cheap.
Yeah.
3 red
I
for
will be
Invoke
playing.
Despair feels great.
I will be playing John Capricious Hellraiser also.
Jun Capricious Hellraiser. That's a hell of a deck. I
Yeah,
know you
that
played.
thing is nasty.
Yeah, you
It
played
really
that
is.
in a couple of showdowns, and I was surprised by it.
Yeah.
You got to put that one up. I need to see it.
Yeah, I will upload it.
Is anybody still playing Jun Tyvar?
I mean, I'm still playing around with one that you guys have put up on YouTube, and it still works. It's not Tyvar heavy, you know what I mean? It's got one copy, but Tyvar still puts in work. Tyvar and Blood Tithe and Kiki, like you can't contest that combo or that trio.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about Explorer. John Ramos, you shine here. You and the Dark Stream have been doing some serious playtesting. I've been seeing in Explorer. What is your I'm going to bring up the MTG Assistant data, but what is your personal assessment based on your experience of what's going on in Explorer meta? What's on top? What's winning right now?
So Rakdos is still the best deck in the format. It's not close. The nut draw is still what it is. And basically you're either good against them or you're good against creature decks. Arena plays whatever they want. But me, and you can see it on the Explorer meta popularity today. Rakdos number 1, Greasefang number 2, Control is number 3, Creativity is number 4, which is kind of surprising because the Creativity deck has Atraxas in it, and I don't think it's good against Rakdos. Like you still suffer from the same problems that even the full-fledged Pioneer deck suffers from. Greasefang is still good. You have to respect it, or they just beat you. And Azorius Control, the diehards will always. It's actually good. Like, it was never bad. It's just you have to respect it. And then the rest of the piles. Darkstream has done a lot of work on the vehicles deck, and I gave him some tech to use. I recommend playing vehicles on the ladder. Use that version. Don't use anybody else's. But if you're looking to climb steadily, just use Rakdos or Greasefang. A lot of people are playing a lot of graveyard stuff, but you can. So here's the all right. Technology for Greasefang now is everybody knows that you're playing Graveyard Hate. So what they're doing now is everybody's playing Shieldred out of the sideboard now. So you have to play removal. And I think that was always the case. Like, you're supposed to play removal post board. You're not supposed to play a bunch of Graveyard Hate. Your Graveyard Hate is supposed to supplement that. So I think the average player is just like, I'm just going to put 4 Hearst and 4 of these, Graveyard Hate cards or ley lines or whatever, and I'm just going to be fine. And then you just die to a Chariot or a Skyboat and the game's over. So the tech against Greasefang is just bring in more removal so that, because they're not playing a lot of can't stay aways. If anything, like, the most I've ever seen is 2. The average deck only runs 1 now. So, like, removal is actually good against them. And you can exile removal if you have it, but Rending Volleys, any black removal will do. And Darkstream is playing 6 white-blue removal spells in the sideboard with Rending Volleys and Fries.
Understandable.
Which I think is correct in the sense that Angels is also a deck, and mono white people still play that, humans or whatever. The average Rakdos mid-range deck, I found out the reason why people are playing Power Word Kills over a lot of other stuff. The technology now is don't play Power Word Kills, play Heartless Axe. So you split your removal up to, 2 or 3 Heartless Axe, like 1 Go for the Throat, 1 Power Word Kill, because we don't have Dreadbores, but I don't even think the average Rakdos deck is playing very many Dreadbores in Pioneer either. And the meta seems pretty open, but just the tier 1 decks are just far and away better than the 1.5 for tier 2 decks. So play Rakdos, vehicles, Greasefang, Blue Eye Control. Mono green is not nearly as good as it used to be, and it's still up there, but it's buoyed by the fact that it has a stupid nut draw and people don't respect it. So
Right. Okay. Thank you for the report. Yeah, man. I've been playing Angels to catch people off guard, but that is a tier 1.5, and yes, there's a gulf between tier 1 and tier 1.5 at the moment. Rakdos midrange, I can report, is doing really well. We're gonna have a sideboard guide out for that on Monday, so check that out.
Couple of, I don't want to say caveats because that's not really the thing, but a couple of interesting notes from challenges and other things. There's a Rogues is picking back up, doing fairly well with a new build. Doesn't run Jace, doesn't run Into the Story, just a bunch of Kaidos and counter spells and the usual rogue suspects.
Okay.
And it's running Xeraths and just your usual rogue stuff. And
any planeswalkers?
Just Kaido, the 3-mana Kaido. So you'll see like one of the 4-mana Kaido like in a sideboard somewhere, but most people have reported in that just play the 3-mana Kaidos and keep your curve lean. And I want to say, what was the other thing? I lost it. There was something else too. Another deck that I saw that was interesting, but yeah, just play Rakdos or any of the tier 1 decks. You'll do fine.
How do you feel about Is It Creativity right now?
You have such a... It's not that you have a bad Rakdos matchup. It's just it's the most popular matchup, and you're unfavored. And if you're at least 50%, I would tell you to play it. But the fact that you're not getting any free wins anymore because there's no mono green devotion anywhere on the ladder anymore. Greasefang still can beat you even through all your nonsense in game one, and Control can beat you in game one because your game plan sucks. And yeah, you're go from unfavorable to, significantly favorable in games 2 and 3, but sometimes you draw bad. So like it's in a weird spot. I think if Rakdos, like if Rakdos just like if there's a card that makes Rakdos, I don't want to say unplayable, but knocks it off its top spot, then maybe. But the format I think is too open, and Rakdos kind of keeps the keeps the aggro decks in check. And since mono green isn't a thing anymore, like it just doesn't have to worry about it, and that's why it's so popular. Is mono green was actually like keeping it like respectable.
I agree.
And you can think like you can play other decks. You could play mono blue or spirits. I was playing elves, and you could play angels. Like there was a bunch of decks that you could play because mono green was in the format. Mono green is like nowhere to be found anymore, and it's just Rakdos, Greasefang, Blue Eye Control, and sometimes Gruul Boats. That's it. Like you don't really have anything else because creativity is not good anymore. The older versions of Gruul Boats, which is what Darkstream was working on, are not good anymore. And just the format is very hostile to a lot of things at the moment, considering and no blue deck right now. Just don't play them. Just don't play any blue deck besides blue white. And the only reason blue white is doing anything is because the white cards are so good. The blue deck's problem right now is they don't have any of their cards to refuel after Thoughtseize. They don't have Treasure Cruise. They don't have Dig Through Time. They don't have any of the cards that make them refuel after they've lost everything. That's why you don't see Phoenix. That's why you don't see any of the Pyromancer spell-based prowess decks. It's why you don't really see too much of the Spirit variety, although the whole deck is on there, but because Rakdos is such a problem, so the Spirits decks can't really fuel or get free wins off of other decks. So when I say the format is open, you just basically have to prepare for the 3 top decks in the format, which is no surprise, but the decks are so good that you have to sort of use all your sideboard slots for them, which is why the format seems kind of holistic, or not holistically, but homogenized into, a 3, 4, 5 top tier deck format. And then everything else is just there, but it's more open than you think it is. You just have to respect the fact that Rakdos, Greasefang, and Control and Boats are good, and build your deck in a way that capitalizes on the fact of flexibility that you're going to see other stuff.
Thank you for the breakdown. So in summary, the better you can sideboard, the more you're able to play kind of outside the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, and Darkstream really hones that in by just understanding that if you know that Greasefang is the best deck with white cards in it, well, mono white and Selesnya, Angels, and there are other white decks also. So you can get away with playing an enormous amount of Lightning Volleys and Fries because you're going to use them every game or every match or every other match or however many matches that you see white cards. The same is true for your graveyard cards, like Scavenging Ooze or whatever that do double duty for, if you're playing against a bunch of aggro and you're trading resources and whatnot, like mono red or Greasefang or a combination of each. So if and that's really what the older formats are for, is the better you know how to sideboard and you know what sideboarding entails. It's not just I need these cards for this matchup. It's more of how many matchups am I going to see and how many different macro archetypes or macro strats am I going to see?
Exactly.
And then I need to build my deck with the idea that I'm playing with 75 cards instead of 60 with 15 hosers, unless that's what your strat is. So like if you're playing combo, obviously you need hate cards. But if you're playing, the majority of the decks in the format are mid-range or some form of it, like Rakdos, Gruul, and I don't want to say control, but like Angels is sort of the same thing. They're not really an aggro deck, they're really a mid-range deck. You can get away with, playing these heavy removal packages or heavy grindy packages because you're going to either outlast the counter spells or removal, or you're going to outlast the 2-for-1s that Rakdos and Mono Red provide. So you have to, the older the formats go, the more prevalent it becomes of how can you, do you know what the point of sideboarding 75 cards are?
Thank you. Hell yeah. A lot of data to look at across all the different data sets, and it's interesting to see how different each data set presents the Explorer meta. But across all of them, I can definitely say Greasefang is ever present. The top 3 decks are ever present, and you have to respect Rakdos. You have to respect Azorius. You just have to respect those decks in your sideboard. And very astute to point out that you have to think of your sideboard as part of the deck and not just like poser cards, unless of course that is your strategy. John Ramos, MTG, as always, Explorer expert, coming in helping us out. I'm relatively new to Explorer, so I play the decks that I can build. I did really well with Rakdos midrange recently. I'm learning a lot about it. Why that deck is so dominant at the moment. It seems to be able to cover all bases, but there are certainly some other decks out there. In particular, Explorer seems to be a lot more friendly towards the combo decks than some of the other formats. That I do appreciate about. All right, so that's pretty much anything and everything, guys. Final statements, final words. What was the old Jerry Springer segment at the very end back in the '90s? The final word or whatever. I can't recall.
I thought it was just fine. I thought it was just the final thought or whatever.
The final thought. Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. The final thought.
I mean, like, whatever. Like,
Semantics.
Semantics.
potato.
Peridabo, what are your final thoughts?
I'm just looking forward to playing the new Shelly because I'm a dirty
Oh,
mono
yeah.
black player. That and what's your mana got to do with me? I got a mana. I'm not trying to hear that C. And that was all.
I love it. Keep that up. You are the mono black gym leader. Luis, what are you gonna play when the new set comes out? You got your eye on anything?
I want to try the newest, the battles, the Siege.
Mhm.
And I want to try Convoke.
Oh yeah, Convoke is
Trying
coming
to,
back.
trying to
God.
make the work with Convoke.
All right. I didn't. Yeah, I feel like that makes the environment a little bit more friendly towards creature decks. Go wide strategies. Yeah. So okay, that'll be interesting to see if that becomes a major element again. Uh, we need something more than just poison counters to help out aggro. Aggro has to be healthy. Control is very healthy right now. Mid range is super healthy. We gotta tone down the mid range, in my opinion. Wow. Anybody else?
The games just don't end, man. Nobody runs out of resources ever.
Mono black is
So-
dominant. Go ahead,
Go
Lieutenant Watts.
Even though I said the card was irrelevant earlier, I am actually going to be playing with the card that's returning to standard. Give me a second, I lost the name.
Monastery Mentor?
Yeah, Monastery Mentor. I'm going to be playing with it in a Visit Burn deck, actually. I think it'll do well there. And just cheap non-creature spells, as many of them every turn as possible.
I'm looking forward to it. I think
Got
the
the
mod
one mana white hexproof for
Yeah.
everything, or for you and your creatures. So that one alone is going to be ridiculous.
Oh, Boros, it could do well there too.
mono white tokens gets a boost. Orzhov tokens gets a boost. Orzhov is going to be a deck. It's already a deck in control.
I'm having
See,
fun with that deck, actually.
I want to play Orzhov Phyrexians just because they're giving us so much support for it. I don't know how viable it'll be on ladder, but as a pet deck of mine, I'll absolutely be playing with it.
I think, for example, talking about combo, have you seen Zephyr Singer?
Man,
Oh yeah.
taking my thunder.
Go ahead, tell us about it.
I mean, it's a 2 white, 2 mana, Tyrant Pirate with Convoke, Flying Vigilance, but when Zephyr Singer enters the battlefield, put a flying counter on each creature that convoked it. I mean, I think that Convoke will be a good Grixis deck.
This card is so good. This card's in my top 10. This card's so good.
Yeah.
Nice. We need to start doing top 10 videos for the Rebellion YouTube. I think that would be something we could do. I think everybody has their own idea of a top 10 for the new set.
And just do a giant mashup of us ranting about our pet cards.
Yeah.
So I had two things. One, so first, my preliminary, God, I can't talk. Preliminary top 10 for the set is my number one is Dusk Legion Duelist, which is the 2-drop vampire that every time it gets a +1/+1 counter, you draw a card. Card is absolute bananas.
Yes.
And it works. At least it should, because it works with what's that stupid card? Growth Chamber Guardian with Kumano, with the second chapter when it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter, that triggers it. So you can use this with Kumano and do the 1/2 punch with a biscuit, and you're already winning in that exchange. That's why it's my number one. And then the others are, and you don't have to look at all of them, but because I'm sure we'll do this again. But Invasion of Gobakon, which is the 2-mana battle that does the Elite Spellbinder thing. Look at the opponent's hand, take a card, it increases it by 2.
that
And
one
it's only
definitely
like a
got my
3 or
attention.
4 defense. So like you can kill it relatively easily. And yeah, it's 3. So it doesn't take much. And then Deep Root Wayfarer, which is a lot of these cards are like 2-drops because they're so cheap. And this bruh does everything. He's like so close to being in the top, like number 1. He doesn't die to anything that has a 2.
Oh, wow.
Because he's got a 3rd toughness. He's a 2-drop. It's a merfolk. And in modern, this is going to be ridiculous. But
yeah, I'm going to put it in my historic merfolks deck.
But this, you get to return a land or a battle or any damage. So you don't have to do it to a player. You do it to a battle. You surveil 1 and return a land. It's not the card that you surveilled. It's just any card in the graveyard. So what I wanted to do with this guy was I wanted to do Field of Ruin and Demolition and just keep hitting their lands and keep bringing it back. And then there's another card that's in my sleeper package that I wanted to use also that I think is pretty good, but we don't have the cards from Pioneer to use it. And Yota's card, the Fairy Mastermind, is pretty good. We already talked about the Singer. I think that card's bananas. Bloodfeather Phoenix. Interestingly enough about the Phoenix, however, is it doesn't have haste. So
that is weird. That is weird.
You have to play these damage spells as instants at the end of opponent's turns. The thing is, though, about this is they have to remove it before the trigger resolves. So, like, if you cast the instant and the trigger happens, because I read the notes on this, you have to remove Phoenix before the trigger for the instant resolves. The moment it does, you can't remove it because you don't get priority. So if I pay the red, you can't remove it. The moment you allow me to pay the red, you can't remove Phoenix from the graveyard.
But
Wow.
Blue Fire Phoenix returns from the graveyard with haste.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Doesn't have haste naturally, but when it returns, it has haste until end of
Yeah.
turn.
That's good. Okay. Thank you for the clarification there. Oh yeah.
And then
Lots
yeah, lots of cool stuff. And then there's a card that I'm gonna use in where is it? It's not C double, although I think that card's actually very good. Oh my god. Please. Where are you?
It does exist.
Botanical Brawler. These are my sleepers. It's a 2-drop 2/2 or 0/0, but it comes in with 2 +1/+1 counters. To know this thing has trample, but the main part of this is when one or more +1/+1 counters are put on another permanent you control. If it's the first time a +1/+1 counter has been put on that permanent this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Botanical Brawler. So if you do this for any creature or any permanent, you get a counter with this. So like Pell Collector counts when you put counters on everything for the first time. That counts. So like Broker's Ascendancy, if you have like multiple creatures with +1/+1 counters on him, this gets the counter, and then it gets like 2 or 3 if all those were the first time it gets them. And this is every turn. So like if you're Luminarch Aspiranting, this also gets it. So like you put counters on Luminarch Aspirant, and then I added Hardened Scales to the mix. So you're getting a crap ton of counters. And then if you proliferate, it does the same thing.
Selesnya aggro is going to be a deck again. That's wild.
Possible.
We've got the top 8 bracket quarterfinals of the U.S. Regional Championships, which is an off. And here is from DreamHack, and here is the quarterfinals and what decks they are playing. Check it out. 4-color combo, which is kind of one that we haven't covered, is in here. You're basically trying to duplicate cards with really good ETB effects and effects where they leave the battlefield, like AO or Atsushi, that kind of thing. Rakdos Reanimator, obviously featuring Atraxa, is in there. Mono White Midrange, Esper Legends, no surprises there. Selesnya Toxic, Esper Legends, no surprises there. Rakdos Midrange, and then another Rakdos Reanimator. Surprised to see that Grixis Midrange is not up there. But, you know, that's just how it is. 2 Esper Legends. We saw Esper Legends be the most popular deck coming in, so not surprised to see 2 of them there. But 2 Rakdos Reanimator. I am surprised to see that. How do you feel about that, Peridabo?
I'm happy to see there's 3 Rakdos spots up there. I'm surprised Reanimator's higher than just the regular mid range, honestly, but happy to see it. I'm not a fan of Grixis, so I'm happy to see it's not there. Rather, I should say, I'm sick of being spammed with Grixis. I appreciate Grixis for what it is. I was just sick of dealing with it every day for months on end. So I'm glad to see that something else has taken something.
Right?
But
I feel that.
Yeah.
It'll find its way back.
Yeah,
I was fine with it when I was playing Mono White. Every time I saw a swamp, I was like, yes, more swamps.
Yes, exactly. You should be playing right now in that mode mentality. See a swamp, you should be happy.
No, every time I play Mono White, I always see the mirror. So,
damn, and
never
then
Grixis.
It's an hour-long matchup.
I remember way back when on Twitter, I posted my untapped data for some deck, and it's like I got, a bunch of decks on there, and like obviously a bunch of high win rates and that. And then somebody had pointed out like, man, that blue-white matchup is not very good now, is it? I was like, I'll have you know, that about half of those losses were me scooping the fucking match because I'm like, I don't want to face somebody that literally tanks for 10 fucking minutes trying to decide whether they're going to censor my 2-drop or not. Like, good God, dude, make a decision.
Yeah, just play quickly, please. I don't mind what deck you play.
Somebody had posted in a different Discord where they're like, the end of the match had their opponents playing blue white. They had 5 seconds, and they're sitting there and they had like 19 minutes. Like,
oh my gosh. I have some stories, horror stories about that. I will give you guys those next time. Let's close out with promotions. We have the Streamer Showdown on Wednesday. I know for a fact Peridabo is up for the trial against Darth Victus of the Dark Stream.
Oh boy!
Once again, it's never easy, but you know, I'm still gonna keep plugging away at it.
I believe in you.
Have you figured out what you're gonna play?
Not entirely. I've been tinkering with this and that, just trying to wrap my head around what will give me the most advantage all around. But then again, it's not like I'm playing all top meta, you know? Like, you guys will throw in random decks that that I have no idea what's coming. Like, it's not like I can just look at a top 10 list and be like, all right, so how can I be prepared for these? Like, no, just all of a sudden here comes somebody's pet deck that is efficient and just something you wouldn't be prepared for. So, and he knows how to play everything. Just give him a deck, and he's going to do it. You don't have to tell him how to play it. He just knows how to play it. It's ridiculous.
He is a big contender, big challenger to try to take down in some kind of best of 3 of the best of 3. So Griffin Rider, Peridabo going at it this Wednesday. Look forward to the Streamer Showdown.
Excuse me.
Yeah. We've also got this podcast going up on YouTube, on the MTG Rebellion YouTube channel. Go subscribe to that. And everybody else, go ahead and round off. Don Ramos, MTG, what do you got going on?
So I'm trying to come back off a hiatus on the either next week or starting in May. I haven't decided yet, but I have to make sure that these schedules work the way I want them to and what I'm trying to do. And so it's not going to be nearly as many days live. It's going to be, I got a bunch of stuff planned, but it's Explorer is what I'm going to be messing with for the next few, whatever, as usual, because it's my favorite format. So,
it's hard as well as Jay-Z did.
My apologies. Also, Mom releases on the 18th, so whatever weekend that is, or the 20th, one of them days, whatever. The weekend after, which is the 22nd, I think, if I recall correctly, and I don't. It's going to be probably a Ragavan day, because Ragavan's legit.
Oh yeah.
And the only time I'll play Historic is because Ragavan's in it.
Nice. Lieutenant Watts.
I play
Lieutenant Watts first. You spoke out of turn, sir. What do you got going on, Lieutenant Watts? When are you streaming?
So I will also be there for the Streamer Showdown on Wednesday. I need to actually go sign up for that. But I will be there Wednesday for the Streamer Showdown, and then I haven't decided what day yet this week, but I am going to stream an additional day this week, and I'm going to play not Magic. I haven't decided what I'm going to play yet. It's either going to be Space Engineers or some Rim World or something there at the like, but just
Space Marines.
Take a break for a moment from Magic and play something just for the funs of it.
Yeah. Luis Dragon, are you in the showdown this week? I can't recall.
I haven't signed up, but yeah, I'm gonna be.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. And I think I'm in it as well. I don't recall who I'm lined up against, but we'll see. I think I'm in it. By default.
No, you aren't.
Okay. I need to sign up as well. So we'll figure that out. Peridabo, what you got going on, man? When are your days where you stream?
Man, this week I'm still not sure. I've been real busy helping out, fixing a lot of things, and then with the money that it took to fix the things, somebody bought another thing, and so we still got the same budget but the same timeline to fix 2 things.
Oh,
So
A lot of things, almost stuff, I would say.
stuffs and/or things, and it's just been crunch time there. So my streaming has been sort of slacking, but yeah, I know for sure I'll be there Wednesday, and that's the only time I can guarantee. But the end of this week will be the end of this crunch that I'm in, so I can get back to it a little more regular.
Oh yeah, looking forward to it. All right, I'm gonna assume Darth Rictus is done for the day. I don't know. Second, I'm unmuted. All right, that's it then. All right, from all of us to all of you, thank you for being a part of this live episode. It'll be up on YouTube by the end of tonight. As I always say at the end of the videos for the MTG Rebellion, untap, upkeep, resist. But I'll let everybody else sign off as they.
I'll have you know.
That's what I was waiting for.
I'll have you know I'm a YouTube
Segment.
content creator. And,
This is the end of this podcast, sir.
Hey, listen. That deck is the greatest deck on the planet. So let's
Best deck in standard.
best deck in standard. What are you talking about?
This may or may not have
Nah,
been a
man.
recording.
Yeah. Wait, we're live? Wait.